This is NATO. For 75 years, they were defending themselves and protecting themselves in Europe. However, there's one Cheeto man that believes NATO is obsolete. Here's the reason why. This is the United States, and we joined NATO 75 years ago. And ever since Trump came in office, he promised on his first term, not his first term, but his fourth term, that he will be leaving NATO by getting the United States out of it. Trump even claimed that NATO was obsolete because of no terrorism protection. They made the change without giving me credit. NATO is obsolete. It must be changed additionally to focus on terrorism as well as some of the things it is currently focused on. NATO is focused on threats that might threaten them. Like, for example, if they should focus on anti-terrorism stuff. They should focus on our terrorism protection. And I gotta admit, Trump is right because the reason why NATO needs terrorism protection is because we weren't prepared for 9/11 at the time. We never even thought about terrorism protection. We thought about a nuclear war. We feared what Russia might have become, not what it might be. So, NATO made the change without giving Trump credit. We can see that Trump believes NATO is obsolete due to no terrorism protection. And they never gave the United States or anybody else credit for it. He also went against NATO because they weren't meeting in defense spending and things. And he started to threaten to put the United States out of NATO. For many years, the United States has been suggested a lot of things. People suggested that the United States should leave the World Bank. Others suggested that the United States should leave NATO and the UN because Elon Musk on X said that he agreed that the United States should leave NATO and the UN. But Elon needs to think because the United States created NATO to protect their allies. And the United States established the United Nations just to maintain peace. Without the USA and NATO, they lose half of their military power without the help of the USA. The rest of the European countries would be left to defend themselves and work together. And without the United States. Without the United States, NATO would be slower to respond to the threats from countries like Russia and China, etc., etc. Without America, NATO would feel empty without surveillance drones or fighter jets because thanks to those surveillance drones and fighter jets and satellites, all of these equipments that came from the United States, all of these arms that came from the United States. really important to NATO, and they would feel empty without surveillance drones or fighter jets. They wouldn't feel comfortable. They would feel vulnerable and empty because they wouldn't be safe without those drones. They wouldn't know whether they're going to be attacked or not by anyone or anything. So realistically, in this scenario, NATO would not collapse, but it would be slower to any type of threat that comes from Russia or China. Without the United States, then NATO NATO would be alone without the United States. But yet they won't give up.